Okay guys, this is a big one because there is a possibility that a mind-blowing new Pokemon could be coming to Pokemon Legends ZA. And in this video, I am going to talk all about who this new Pokemon could be, why it could be coming to the game, and why it would be such an insanely big deal if it actually happened. So with that said, let's go ahead and get right to it. Okay, so I absolutely had to make a video about this idea because of how mind-blowing the possibility truly is, and because of how well everything within this theory truly comes together. But with that said, I do want to say really quick that this isn't necessarily a completely unique idea either. I have seen this general idea put out there a couple of different places already, but I will say with that in mind that everything that you're going to hear in this video in terms of the theories and the ideas and the thoughts are all my own, so I guess this is sort of my own original interpretation of this general idea. And that idea is the possibility that the ultimate weapon is actually a Pokemon. Now obviously, this is a crazy claim to make, but that's where the mind-blowing part comes in, because it actually makes a ton of sense. So let's get into why that is. The first thing that kind of points in the direction of this is the logo of Pokemon Legends ZA. I've talked about this before, so I'll be really brief, but obviously in the logo you see a Z and you see an A, and the Z obviously is meant to represent Zygarde, so it only stands to reason that the A could possibly represent another Pokemon as well that is possibly going to get introduced in this game. The A in the logo also resembles the ultimate weapon itself in addition to all of this, so this is kind of our first connection that not only could we be getting a new Pokemon, but that this new Pokemon could have some tie to the ultimate weapon. And this is where we start getting into the part that the ultimate weapon could actually be a Pokemon itself in some way, shape, or form. The first piece to this puzzle is the fact that the ultimate weapon has been stated to be the reason or the source of the Mega Evolution phenomenon. In short, it is stated that the ultimate weapon is the source of Mega Evolution due to the immense amounts of energy that the ultimate weapon gave off upon its firing. And in regard to the ultimate weapon being a Pokemon, this is actually a huge deal because every single one of the generational battle mechanics since they started introducing these sorts of things with Mega Evolution in Generation 6 have all originated from some kind of Pokemon of that respective generation, with the exception of Mega Evolution. We have Z moves in Generation 7, which are tied to Necrozma. We have Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing in Gen 8, which come from Eternatus. And in Gen 9, we have Terastallization, which originates from Terapagos. So with this very specific pattern in mind, it stands to reason that a new Pokemon that either is or is tied to the ultimate weapon in some way could be introduced that is shown to ultimately be the true source of Mega Evolution. And then, going along with the Legends ZA logo once again, this Pokemon could also be themed around the letter A to act as a sort of opposite to Zygarde, who represents the letter Z. And this Pokemon being a sort of counterpart or opposite to Zygarde makes perfect sense as well, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, with Zygarde being the order Pokemon, if you were to make an opposite Pokemon to stand on the opposite side of Zygarde, it would probably be something along the lines of the Chaos Pokemon or the Anarchy Pokemon, or something that would essentially be the opposite of order. And what better kind of Pokemon to represent the ideas of chaos or anarchy than a Pokemon that is based on a weapon that is also used in a war? That is effectively the definition of chaos itself. And then another nice little layer that kind of just adds on to this whole thing is that if you were to assume the typing that this Pokemon could be, number one, you would probably assume that it would also be a dragon type to go along with Zygarde, but also, and in particular, you would probably think that it would be a steel type most likely if it is in fact connected to or actually is the ultimate weapon in some way. And Steel just so happens to counteract Zygarde's other typing of Ground perfectly, not only being strong against it, but also being a sort of opposite, where Steel kind of represents development, where Ground represents kind of the natural order of things. And then the typings also work really well from a story perspective as well, because if you give this Steel typing to this new big bad antagonistic Chaos Pokemon, it is then going to have the advantage over the Ground type Zygarde, who's obviously the protagonist and the hero in that scenario. So it gives the villain here just a little bit of an edge to make things interesting against this hero Pokemon in Zygarde, and ultimately is going to force it to have to get stronger, like with Zygarde's complete form, to ultimately take this villain Pokemon down. And then another thing that this would also do is sort of make Kalos's legendary Pokemon into a set of duos, where you would have Xerneas and Yveltal, which are obviously a pair and represent life and death, and then you would have Zygarde and this other new Pokemon to go with it, which would represent order and chaos, which kind of thematically works really well. I know that Zygarde is ultimately the duo master of Xerneas and Yveltal, but who's to say that we couldn't get a new member of this group to either be a trio master or to kind of pair off with Zygarde, like I said, to make them a pair of duos. I know that this is a really crazy theory at the end of the day, and ultimately it is just for fun, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense in my opinion, and in terms of all those boxes that you gotta check off for this to be a realistic sort of thing, I feel like it does check off those boxes. So for as crazy as this is, it's also something that I would love to see happen in the game, at least to some sort of degree. You guys are going to have to let me know what you think about this though in the comments below, and whether or not you believe it or would like to see something like this happen. And also, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like as well and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to further support the channel as well and help me to keep making videos, you can also check out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify or wherever you get your music, because simply listening there greatly helps out the channel right back here and helps me to keep making videos just like this one, and it's very much appreciated. With that said, I'll be back very soon with another new video, and until then, as always, thank you guys so much as always for watching this one. I really truly appreciate it a bunch, and with that said, I will smell you guys later.